Well, happy Halloween. The Calgary third quarter market update just came out from the Calgary Real Estate Board yesterday. So I just wanted to walk you through some of these stats, which I think you're going to find really interesting. Number one, they reported on Alberta net migration. We always watch this closely. How many people are moving to Alberta? And you can see this year, no surprise, has been not in the positive territory. In fact, we have more people leaving Alberta than coming to Alberta. But I would be willing to bet most people would have already guessed that was happening. And quite frankly, we've just lost a lot of good jobs in Alberta, especially in the oil and gas sector. No surprise. And that's why a lot of people have left for better paying jobs. And I don't know that that's going to change anytime soon. Unemployment, kind of crazy, is just shows you how many people in Calgary were employed. And you can see we took a huge drop during the COVID lockdown, and then we've bounced back. We're not where we were, of course, in 2019, but at least we're rebounding in the right direction. And that is positive despite, everything that's happened this year. We all know that interest rates have played a big role in this whole entire market, and I'm so glad, being in the real estate business, that the Bank of Canada dropped rates, and they've made it very attractive for people to get into owning a piece of property. And the good news is people have been doing it despite the rest of the market conditions. And this is where you start to see what actually has happened. And you can see what a crazy year it's been. Just the fact that with the shutdown, you can see just that we had almost a 40% drop in sales volume. And then all of a sudden, a major rebound coming into especially the last quarter, but certainly the last two quarters, ever since the beginning of June. There's been certain sectors of the real estate market that has been, to my surprise, almost, on fire. It's like a seller's market. Other sectors have still lagged behind, which we're going to talk about. And this is the one sector that has been extremely positive, and that's the detached market. And if you look at this graph, it's kind of cool. So you can see that the dark colored red is the area where we've actually seen prices drop in this sector of the city. Whereas if you get into the blue, the darker the blue, the higher the price year over year. And you can see, down here in the southwest section of the city, we've actually seen some price inclines. So whereas it's almost like the tale of two cities. You're down 5% here and you're up 5% here. And again, this is why real estate is very local. This is why it can be confusing to a lot of people, and you can't just judge the entire market. You do have to look at every single area of the city independently, and you have to look at every different product independently, which I say this every time I do a video. But I still get people that call me and go, well, the overall market just seems to be down. And my first question is, well, where do you live? What do you actually own? And I'll tell you whether you're down or not, because you may not be as down as much as you may think. So you can see here, sales volume here, we're actually up 16%. I mean, that's phenomenal year over year. And you can also see that new listings really only down, slightly from last year. And the average inventory, for the Q3 for the whole year has actually been down as well. So what we've been left with for detached houses is we've seen areas with high demand. We've seen some areas with lower inventory, really low interest rates, and that has definitely fueled some areas of the city. And overall, it's been a really good market for detached, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. It really is more of a seller's market right now. So if you are considering selling, this may be a good time. Housing market for semi-detached, and you can see here, same thing. Inner city has been down, and interestingly enough, the northwest and the west side of the city has been down the most. And on the south side of the city, we've had some slight increases in prices. So it's just very interesting, the dynamics to that. But that being said, the area in the inner city and the area in the west, the semi-detached houses there do sell for a lot more money. So there's been price corrections there. Where in the south side of the city, you're seeing the lower price point. And what's happened is a lot of these first-time buyers are getting into the market. So they're taking advantage of these prices where you get down here in the $300,000 range for a semi-detached, as opposed to the inner city where you're averaging $700,000. So you can see the demand just isn't as high there. The pricing is really dictating this too. And even up in the north, even though it's in the pink section, I mean, it stayed relatively stable. Year over year, if you look at the fact that, as far as sales volume goes, we're still up 497 sales. That's a 14.5% increase year over year. That's pretty healthy. And if you look at the inventory, down 18%. So again, anytime you've got higher demand and you've got lower inventory, that's a good sign for the overall market to be a little more stable, even though some of the higher priced real estate is still correcting. When you get into the row houses, which are generally semi-detached or townhouses that are condos, and you can see this is where things start to get a little bit more ugly. And for whatever reason, and I don't know really why, anything with a condo fee just isn't in as high as demand as it once was, and it hasn't rebounded this year. We've got no blue anywhere. Everything here is dark red and red. And so we're just continuing to see a decrease in price. There just isn't enough people that want condos. And I can't put my finger on it. I'm not suggesting there's no market here. There is, but it's just not as good as it was, and it's not seemed to be coming back. And as you can see, 674 sales, which is still down year over year. And of course, the inventory is also still a little bit down, but we're not seeing any price increases. We're still seeing prices drop. And when you get into apartment condos, it's relatively the same thing, although at least at the very top here in the north section, you're seeing a little bit of blue, so there's some stability here. But the rest of the city, we're seeing pink and red. So we're just not seeing any recovery whatsoever in apartments. And it's been tough because I've met with a lot of people who own apartments, and many of them want to sell, and they're very concerned. And many of them just can't sell or don't want to sell because they don't want to take the loss. But they're continuing even to build more condos because many of them were on the books. And so I just don't see the condo market changing anytime soon. Down here on sales, year over year, we're down 10% in sales volume. And our inventory at 1,675 is actually slightly higher. So the bottom line is, if you're looking for a condo, there's some really good deals out there. No question. I can't even begin to tell you how you can find some really, really good properties and condos if you're buying. And if you're selling, I'm sorry, because most likely you're not going to like the numbers. Just to get into Airdrie real quick, I won't spend too much time on the surrounding towns, but maybe just to bring you up to speed on it. And you can see that Airdrie has rebounded as well. 39% increase in sales year over year. There seems to be a resurgence for Airdrie. Again, it's still not what it was. If you look at the chart up here with sales volumes that we had, back in 2018, they were much higher. But again, Airdrie just seems to be rebounding, and primarily in the detached section of the market. Cochrane, definitely, I don't know what's going on in Cochrane, but there's a lot of people that want to move to Cochrane. It's become the talk of the town, and you can see a 34% increase in sales. So just for whatever reason, hey, in defense of Cochrane, it is actually a nice place. I've been there many times, and I've sold a lot of houses in Cochrane too. But it's just interesting that, it was kind of just a sleepy town a year ago, and sure, there was always sales activity, but it's just all of a sudden this past summer, it's really taken off. Okotoks, not as robust as Cochrane, but Okotoks has always been a strong market, and it has continued to be in a strong market. Again, really nice community south of town, not too far to get into the southern end of the city, and especially with the new Stony Trail that's going in, it's going to make it that much easier to get to the mountains as well. So they've seen a 16% increase at 179 sales, and their inventory has dropped like 29%. So strong market for Okotoks. Chestermere, this is in Strathmore. I'll just quickly go to these. Chestermere, 27% increase in sales. That's good, but keep in mind, Chestermere was really, really lagging behind. They had a tough couple of years in the last little bit, and it's still not a robust town, but it's definitely improved. And at one time, just a few years ago, Chestermere was just incredible how many people wanted to be in Chestermere. And then for whatever reason, it just slowed down. And it seems to be a direct connection with the oil and gas market. I think a lot of people who worked up north just kind of liked the idea of, coming back to a town that had, a lake in it, and they could relax when they were not working. And Strathmore, last one, 20% year over year. And that's still pretty significant for a smaller town like Strathmore. I mean, at one time, there's a lot of people going to Strathmore because it was just cheaper. You could get a bigger house for less money and for only a 40-minute drive into the city. And that seemed to be what was drawing people into Strathmore. With the prices coming down in Calgary and the low interest rates, I think that's played a little bit on a little bit less amount of people that want to go to Strathmore. But still, Strathmore offers a really tight-knit community, very friendly place, very safe place. So I think there's always going to be a pretty decent market there. But it's good to see that they've rebounded a little bit, because it had really, really slowed down in Strathmore even in the last year. And inventory has also dropped 19%. So let me just leave you with this thought now that you've seen these stats. This gives you a really strong indication of just how different every single area of the city is. And it also tells you just some of the trends that are going on. And one of the biggest trends is some of these renovated houses in these older established neighborhoods. And we've really had some success with helping people with that. And we've done a lot of renovations for people. And we've got a new program where we are doing the renovations for people, and we're sharing in the risk, and we are participating in that with you to help you get your house sold. I partnered up with a company that's doing it. And if you want more information on that, please reach out to me. But again, as always, if you're a buyer and you're just trying to even just get an understanding of the market and where things might go, or even if you're ready to pull the trigger and find that right property, just reach out to me, and I'll walk you through in more detail which areas of the city that might be best as far as return on investment, but also knowing that it's not just a return on investment for buying. We'll hone in on the areas that you'd rather be for your family and your community and where you work and all that sort of thing. If you're selling, there's no question you need some solid advice when you're selling. There's a lot of moving parts to this. There's getting your house ready. There's the specific target marketing. There's the right pricing. All of this has to line up. And if it does, you'll have great success in this market. But you've got to have everything working for you in order for you to maximize your sale price and get the job done. So reach out to me, and I'll be happy to walk you through that as well. And the last thing is my new book is out too. So anybody I meet with, I'm giving them a copy of my new book, which is also exciting because I got 105 pages of really good information. Hope that's very helpful for you for this quarter, and we will see you soon.